Is astrology a guide to aid us in mastering the universe? This is the Cosmic Community Podcast with Galactic Ambassador Stacey Dredd. This astrology report is for the week of October 29th, and we're going to be shooting into the month of November and talking about how the month is going to be playing out energetically. Also, things to look forward to. And this week is big and busy, and there is a lot going on. I am here on October 29th to bring this report, and I am looking at delivering to you a lot of information today, but definitely keep your mind and intuition and your third eye and your spirit antennas open right now, because we are entering a time where the veil becomes extremely thin between this world and the spirit world. And of course, we're talking about Samhain. We're talking about Halloween. The energy is coming up, All Saints Day, Day of the Dead, however you connect with this time of year. It is a marker for the time of year that we're in. We've reached the halfway point of fall, and that is where Samhain, that's what we're marking here. So that's exciting. We're at the halfway point between the fall equinox in the northern hemisphere, the Libra equinox, so we can call it across the globe, and then to Yule, to the dark day of the year. So only 6 weeks until December 21st. That seems like kind of weird to be saying, but it's true. It's coming up. We're at that halfway point. And so we reach a balance. We reach a point where there is a lot available to us. And Scorpio season, we are in Scorpio season, and we're in the thick of it for sure. There's a lot of messaging that comes through because Scorpio is a sign that delivers depth. It's a sign that delivers messaging from the deep. And Mercury, the planet of these messages, the messenger of the gods, Mercury is the planet of our mind and our thoughts, is in Scorpio, and the sun is there. And so our identity, our mind, both there, indulging in the goodness that Scorpio offers, which is depth, emotional depth. And this being a water sign is going to be helping us to explore the true depth of our emotions. There's a lot there. And during Scorpio season, it can be sort of in our face. Scorpio is like all the dark, shadowy things too. So kind of like skeletons in the closet, we have to go through during this time of year. And so that's good stuff. You know, you reach in, there's cobwebs. It's places that haven't been cleaned out in a while, places that haven't even gotten the light of day, haven't even been seen. So this is where we are. That's how we start the week. And we are working with a lot of Mars energy this week, a lot of Mercury. And then both of these planets, Mercury and Mars, are going to be changing signs before the end of the week also. And the new moon in Scorpio on November 1st. So as we enter the week, we've got Mars in a trine with Neptune. And this is actually sort of a passing energy at this point. It's already happened, but these are both slow moving planets. So when Mars makes this interaction with Neptune, the physical body becomes aware of the hopes and the dreams and the desires that Neptune brings. And Neptune is also definitely a very intuitive planet. And so our physical body could be receiving these messages too, like literally sort of like hypnotically moving in certain directions, physically not really knowing why you're doing things, but feeling just really drawn and like pulled to do things. This is definitely a Mars-Neptune feeling. And we are also coming off of a grand mutable cross and a mystic rectangle and building into another mystic rectangle on October 30th. And this is a mystic rectangle. What are you talking about? It's just as magical as it seems. It is when in the zodiac 4 points make this mystic triangle. And this is sextiles and trines. I've talked a lot about sextiles and trines being benevolent. This is also when things happen very quickly. This is like good stuff happening right now. So mystic triangles bring in a lot of just kind of like faded things that have been sort of waiting to fall into place. That's the way that I see it. And the planets included here are that Mars Neptune. So creating these physical dreams and following through with our physical feelings and intuitions that we're having. Neptune Pluto, which is all about transformation according to these dreams and hopes and desires. And we're working with South Node energy here too in Libra. So it's almost like anything that doesn't serve us is going to not really be included here. There's going to be an elimination of what doesn't serve and sort of the things that we are walking away from. There could be almost like a resurgence of these things that we thought were sort of done and transformed. And now we have these planets all at the last degrees, these 27, 28, 29 degree points. This is crises in action. This is making something happen here. This is Mars included. So there's like physical action. So that is the approach into October 31st. And then we come into a really, really powerful T-square. The day of Halloween, Samhain, we have a very, very powerful moon. And it's actually a new moon just hours after, the morning after on November 1st. So it's going to be a very, very dark night out there. Make sure the little kiddos have their flashlights and things. There's going to be absolutely no moon at all. And it's going to be feeling very sensitive because the T-square there's an opposition between Pluto and Mars building. I talked about this last week. Pluto, Mars. This is very destructive. These are the two malevolents. These are the bad guys in astrology. So this is where we can see lots of endings. We can see a lot of destruction. We can see a lot of things burning down, death, even violence. This is where accidents can happen. So take care of yourselves this week. We have really, really strong Mars, and then now this Pluto coming in also in the opposition when the moon comes through in that T-square on the 31st. We could see definitely a lot of what the moon provides. The moon provides us access to our emotions. We become very, very aware of how we're feeling, what we're feeling, and how that's affecting us. And a lot of times our emotions can get the best of us in these times. So we've got a very, very powerful element here also between Mercury, the mind, in an opposition to Uranus. And Uranus is the other sort of lightning striking energy here. And Uranus comes in creating that spontaneity, creating the ability for something to just snap and happen really quickly. Uranus is the planet of change. And there is some air of finality here this week for sure, with Pluto being at the very, very, very final degrees of Capricorn for the last time in our lives. We're never going to see this again. We're never going to deal with Pluto and Capricorn again unless you figure out a way to live 250 years. You won't ever see or feel Pluto and Capricorn again. So there is a huge amount of finality. It's something to be totally aware of as we enter a very, very powerful, loaded week for people in regards to so many different things out in the world. So sounds like a really important time to take stock. Scorpio season is about taking stock also. Scorpio is like, not everything's going to make it through the winter. The reality of Scorpio season in the Northern Hemisphere is it's starting to get very cold. It is starting to look very dark and dead out there. Not a lot being offered by the natural world as far as resources anymore. And so we do as nature does also, and we hibernate. We take everything inside into our space and we hold on to it and we take stock and we start to figure out how to survive the winter. So there is a sense to Scorpio where it's like not everything's gonna make it through. So there's decisions to be made. There's cuts to be made. And with Mars and Pluto in this opposition, it could be really, really easy, quick energy to make these cuts. Scorpio season could happen very easily this year because of this Pluto at the 29th degree, already in this crises in action phase, finishing things out, knowing that things are transforming and not ever going to return to the way that they were. And so it's an extremely powerful Scorpio season right now, with Pluto being the ruling planet and this feeling coming in. Of course, the ruling planet is always going to be affecting the sign. So our ruling planet of this new moon at 5:47 a.m. on the Pacific West Coast on November 1st. This is a very active ruling planet of Pluto, and it's ready to make these cuts. It's ready to have the argument about it. It's ready to say the final word, make the final action, and call it done. So very intense as we move into the month of November. It's quick moving energy. It's even moody. It's sensitive. We still have this grand water trine. Let's not forget about our grand water trine before Mercury and Mars actually move into the next signs. They're going to be making a trine with each other at the very last degrees of their signs. And they are both in water signs. We've got Mercury in Scorpio and Mars in Cancer, and Mars in Cancer is not done. We are going to be seeing this again because Mars is setting up for retrograde and will return here. So as Mars comes through and looks to change signs on November 3rd, before entering Leo, is going to be making that opposition with Pluto and in this sextile with Mercury. So communicating very openly and freely with the planet of the mind and this intuitive messaging. So the mind and the body, the physical body and the mental places are in line this week. We are feeling like we are having some understanding, but it is still very much based in these water signs, based in the intuition, based in that mysterious knowing of the unknowing or unknowing of the knowing, where your intuition plays and you just know that what you're going, what you're doing, where you're going, what you're saying, how you're doing it. you're so tuned in with this new moon in Scorpio, so tuned in that, and with this grand trine in water, that there is a trust, a full-on trust of what's coming through the intuition. So yeah, lots going on as we move into and out of the new moon in Scorpio. Really good things to do is to connect with water, connect with the water signs. And you can do this by bathing. You can jump in the cold waters out there somewhere. You can just take a glass of water and meditate with the water and ask the water to cleanse you the way that you need to be this Scorpio new moon, and then drink that water with that full intention and that knowing and that prayer that you've put in to that water. Just connecting with the element of water somehow is going to be really, really important. And, our bodies are a lot of water. And with this big, strong new moon, we could be feeling like we need something new right now. That's what we want to bring into our lives when the sun and the moon come together in these new moon moments. We have this at 10 degrees of Scorpio. So check out your astrological birth chart. Where is 10 degrees of Scorpio? What house is that for you? What planets or points do you have near, in, and around that? I know in my birth chart, I have a really, really strong point, 11 and 12 degrees, and my Pluto is actually in Scorpio in that ruling planet. So Scorpio season's always really intense for me because I do have the ruling planet there. And you can always, get in touch with your, astrologer guru if you have some questions. Anybody that you feel, if your intuition is guiding you to speak with an astrologer to help, tear things apart when it comes to that birth chart, to sort of understand it. It really brings a lot of depth and understanding there. So other actions for new moons in Scorpio. I mean, Scorpio is the planet of sex. So there's that you can use that to help transform things in and around Scorpio season. That's a very powerful tool just in life, and that we have Mars, the physical body, so in tune here with Pluto, the ruling planet. We could feel a strong pull to jump into the sheets and use that even as a trance, or like using it as some type of new hypnotherapy, because that's what Scorpio kind of rules over too, is like hypnotherapy and hypnotic states and like shamanic states. And so I think there's this ecstatic, sexual experiences where you go out and you have like, it's very spiritual, so including maybe some of that into the practices that you have there. Another way to celebrate the powerful new moon energies of Scorpio, and definitely just dig into your intuition and do what feels best. That is the best thing to do. So then on November 2nd, we have Mercury moving into Sagittarius. Sagittarius already houses currently Venus, and so we are moving from Scorpio to Sag with these personal planets already. And this is the adventurous, carefree side of Sagittarius. This is also the sign of wisdom and knowledge, and just like higher learning and philosophy and religion and nature. And Sagittarius has a lot to offer in terms of adventure and finding that spark that the fire signs all give. And then more in the fire signs, we move from having these two planets, Mercury and Mars, in water signs to now later going to be in fire signs after the weekend here, first weekend in November. So Mars entering Leo, and so sparking a lot of flames here, changing things up from this watery feelings that we've all been having and diving into these deep watery areas with these water trines to a fiery space. And then Venus is going to move out of Sagittarius into Capricorn on November 11th. The planet of Saturn on November 15th. On the same day of the full moon is going to be stationing direct. So that's going to be a very interesting turning point, November 15th. The second week of November, definitely looking like a big shift as far as the month of November goes. And then the big ticket meal deal for the month of November, of course, is Pluto entering Aquarius on November 19th and leaving the past behind for good. The sun moves into Sagittarius on November 21st, and we move into Sagittarius season. Another Mercury retrograde right before the month of November closes, starting on the 21st of November, Mercury stations retrograde, and just into the month of December. On the very first day, we have our new moon in Sagittarius on the 1st of December. So a lot to jam through over the next month here in the cosmic community. And always, I am hoping that this finds you well and that you are able to glean some helpful information here from this program. And I thank you very much, and take good care of yourself. Peace. Thank you for listening to the Cosmic Community Podcast. More can be found at kpov.org/thecosmiccommunity.